Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 106th episode of Dissonant Waves.
Hell yeah.
Technically, a new recording of our fourth year, theoretically, but there's some other episodes before this and after the anniversary that you'll be seeing. So, whatever. Time space is weird. Ritz and Trix are here as always.
Hello.
Hell yeah.
We have a ton of things to talk about. A lot.
God, yeah.
When I say this might be our longest episode in terms of things we listen to, it really might well be.
Yeah.
I think that one episode was a bit longer.
Caretaker might be a bit longer. It's hard to say.
I meant like I think it was episode 99.
Caretaker was longer.
Caretaker was longer than 99.
Yeah, but they're probably both a bit longer than this one, but this is 2.5. Then a bit. I mean, I guess it stopped making sense. Like actual concert film might be a bit.
Yeah.
Which, granted, I didn't watch during this week because I'd already watched it, but
Fair.
It's so good.
What?
I know, I saw it before. I did great. It's good.
Yes, indeed. We have a lot of things to talk about this week, including Talking Heads Remain in Light, as well as the film Stop Making Sense. I was crazy enough to choose the Deer Hunter Color Spectrum project, which includes, once again, the Black EP, Red EP, Orange EP, Yellow EP, Green EP, Blue EP, Indigo EP, Violet EP, White EP, and the Color Spectrum album itself. And we also did a few other albums, whoever Ritz's picks. Marietta, Summer Death, as well as Awake But Still in Bed's debut. What people call low self-esteem is really just seeing yourself the way that other people see you.
Still one of my favorite album titles.
Yeah. Now,
I did the stupid thing of listening to both Marietta versions of the album, but that's not required.
No, dude. It's exactly the same. Like the anniversary edition on Spotify is exactly the same as just the original Bandcamp release.
My query was, how does it change without the film clips? And I think there was enough there to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean about film clips. So the credits,
the samples.
Yeah. So I thought you was watching some music videos. So I'm like, I had music videos now.
But what do you want to talk about first?
Well, I'm going to do the cowardly option of making Trix pick what we choose first.
Alright, let's get Stop Making Sense out of the way.
All right.
I watched this whilst high with my brother.
I have watched this many times while high.
Yeah, it's like the absolute necessity.
I watched it for the first time today. My first time ever seeing it. Although I've seen a lot of stills.
Fucking great.
That's saying it's a pretty good live show.
Yeah. It'd be fantastic to be there. Like, that's a lot of energy happening in that room.
Yeah. Byrne is such a fucking good frontman.
Yes. He's really just jogging around stage, just costume changes, singing his heart out.
Playing guitar at points.
First question, is the album art for this week just the big suit?
Yes.
It should be.
I guess so.
It should be Ritz's head in the big suit.
Yeah. It's going to be my head. What did I do? What have I done to deserve such punishment?
Is it punishment, though, or
not
iconic?
In a lot of our,
I don't know.
We're not in a lot of our art anyways, so.
Yeah, well, the punishment isn't being in the big suit. The punishment is everybody having a go at me for being in the big suit.
I was going to use your drawn head from the Horse Jumper of Love.
Which you can now buy on a t-shirt.
Our merch store is now live. Go buy our Horse Jumper of Love cover art, as well as our logo, as different things. There's a shower curtain or a jigsaw puzzle.
More shit coming eventually, too.
No, I need to get the full fucking track list up to stop making sense. Because I can remember moments on it, but I can't remember the full track list by heart.
The thing is, the original soundtrack album is not the film soundtrack. It's just a condensed version. The film soundtrack was finally released in full in 1999.
Yes.
So that's just something to keep in mind. I only listened to the 1999 version because that was what was available. I didn't really have enough time to really listen to both like I did the Marietta stuff. But
both wasn't necessary for this one.
Yeah, I figured we were just covering Stop Making Sense. We covered one or the other. We were watching the film, really, more than anything.
Yes.
Got a lot of classics on this soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Once in a Lifetime, of course, Burning Down the House. Life During Wartime, I did not realize was a Talking Head song.
It is. It's a One of their best.
See, that reads to me as like old or 70s rock, but I don't associate that with Talking Heads.
Yeah.
Even Psycho Killer, despite being a 70s song, I do not associate with the 70s because they're just that ahead of their time usually.
Yeah, I get you.
But yeah, there's a lot of iconic moments in this film, directed by Jonathan Demme, or Dem, depending on how you pronounce it, the later director of Silence of the Lambs, so a top-notch, top-class director. It's credited to both him and the Talking Heads in general. So, Byrne kind of conceptualized the whole show and everything, so makes sense.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, at some point now, we have to excuse me, COVID a little bit. We have to watch David Byrne's movie, True Stories.
Yeah, we do.
Because it's really good. That is a movie I've seen a couple times. It is really good. And he talks about it a little bit in the behind the scenes where he interviews himself, and there's the whole blackface incident in that video clip. But he does talk about wanting to make a movie out of tabloids, and by golly, he does. Mm-hmm. But I'm assuming he probably talked to Jonathan Demme and got a lot of tips on being a director, because I think he was a great director, and working with such a high class director at this point, you create like what is considered one of the most classic films in the rock concert subgenre, I guess.
It invented the genre, basically.
I mean, I'm sure there were other ones like before, but nothing. Oh yeah, like the Martin Scorsese had The Last Waltz and stuff like that, but nothing quite like this.
Well, I mean, last year obviously it's the big news about this concert film as well is that it got selected for preservation in the National Film Registry. So.
Which good.
Yeah, well, it would be kind of weird if this wasn't eventually. Like, you don't really think of films and think of concert films, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you do think of the word concert, if you think of concert film, you think of this.
Like, it's
this
the only
is probably the most. I was gonna say this is probably the most art house concert film ever made.
It's the only concert film that I'm aware of that has a cultural touchstone.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that like everyone always talks about in this concert though is just like all the crazy shit that happens in it. Like obviously at the start, it's literally just David Byrne and acoustic guitar and a cassette player or something, and then obviously it turns into a kind of big kind of absolutely everyone's on stage, including all these backing vocalists and stuff like that. One thing that doesn't really get mentioned as much, I guess it's probably just because it's just to be expected, but the performances are fucking great on every song here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. They don't miss a note on here.
No. To the point where I was trying to see if any of it was like scripted or like pre-recorded. Because like when David Byrne's jogging, dancing, doing everything, and his vocals are perfect.
Yeah.
It's really stellar.
It is a masterclass in performance theater. Like more than just playing music, like you're actually like having a show.
And he's done that a couple times since then too, but go on.
Yeah.
It's one of those things as well, like where everyone tells you to watch this high, as well as that you actually kind of, or it's not usually like from weed. I hear a lot of people say you actually need to watch this on acid, but I'm too much of a coward to touch that stuff.
Once I get my hands on some mushrooms, I'm gonna rewatch this on mushrooms.
But I remember just a couple of times where you kind of just get lost in the kind of like the actual concert that's happening. And then when you actually get a bit of awareness and something fuck's happening, you just kind of just like, okay, why is he doing this again? And it just adds to the kind of surreal nature and stuff that this this is one of the most surreal concerts that's out there. And people who
I was expecting it to be way harder, but I think that's because it was hyped up too much for me.
Surreal doesn't mean that there has to be all this craziness. It's just surreal.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's not like, oh, he's a unicorn or something that comes out of nowhere. I don't know what unicorn the fantasy thing in my head at the moment, but maybe I'm a teenage girl. And there's no like crazy like, oh, let's raise the dead or anything in here, kind of stuff in it. It's just surreal. Like it's actually just unexpected for a concert. You wouldn't expect someone to change it. You wouldn't expect each song to have only one member come in at a different time. And there kind of be no acknowledgement of it happening. It's just happening like that.
And this is where it definitely elevates, listening to the soundtrack is one thing, but you need to see the visual component of it to really get it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I listened to the soundtrack first, and like in the back of my mind, I knew about that, but I didn't remember it until actually seeing it that they were introducing them like that. But I didn't even like notice it just listening to the soundtrack.
Yeah.
If I go and look onto Dissonant site now as well, like you will notice that you can actually find the vinyl for this pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Like, incredibly cheap, because it's not. Yeah, there's probably like the more mint conditions and original versions probably be worth a bit, but once they're probably in good condition.
This is the Talking Heads album that everybody had.
Yeah. Plus, it's kind of also like as a CD or as a vinyl or anything like that. It's like, well, that's just half of the actual album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I do like kind of. So you could just put it on in the background and everything. It is one of those you have to just see it.
Yeah.
Now the one thing though that makes us a bitch at the end of this episode is, do we even rank this?
Yeah.
Compared to everything else, because like I'm putting this not just to everything that we're doing today, but to everything else, because every other album hasn't had a visual aspect to it. Well, I mean, sometime an album will. I mean, Butterfly 3000, we could have gone through all the music videos, because they made a music video for each song, but I don't think it was out by that time.
We
did Daft Punk.
We used to delve more heavily into the musical or the video components early on, but
Daft Punk, I'll say, yeah, that does count into here. But it's, I don't know, it feels weird comparing it with the Daft Punk, because Daft Punk was an album then, the visual aspect, if you get what I mean, and then this is both at the same time, both are with each other.
Well, I'll tell you this, like, if we're ranking it, this isn't even my favorite album of the week.
Oh, no, it's probably not even my favorite album of the week, but
this is my favorite. I'll spoil it. I'm a basic bitch.
I was gonna put the other Talking Head stuff over this, to be honest. Like,
it's a 50-50 for me.
As an album,
put it as a co-one.
Oh yeah,
as an experience, yeah.
As an album, yeah, I'll go Remain in Light. But like as an experience, I'm gonna go with Stop Making Sense.
That's fine. One of the interesting things I've noticed is that in the VHS and Laserdisc, apparently there were more songs, but on the Blu-ray and DVD, some of them have been cut and made special features.
Yeah, the extended the extended cut is on YouTube.
Oh, fair. Okay, because they cut out Cities, Big Business, and I Zimbra.
Yep.
And you can still watch them. They're, like I said, they're just clips on the DVD, but yeah.
They are great tunes as well.
I mean, they're not my favorites. I can see why they were cut, perhaps, but yeah. But this is like one of those things that came out. Everyone loved it. Everyone's kind of loved it since then.
That's no reason not to love it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like even the blackface controversy didn't really ruin it or anything.
No.
And it was just like a small little clip that was like optional, basically. It wasn't part of the movie itself.
Yeah.
I think a bigger reason for that as well. Not that really it makes blackface better or not or anything. There's not really any stereotyping with that blackface. It was just kind of, I mean, it's because David Byrne was being David Byrne the whole time. Like, it was all David Byrne.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't really excuse it, but it's not even close to top 100 worst blackface incidents of all time.
Yeah.
WatchMojo.com.
Speaking of David Byrne being David Byrne, have you ever heard that story about the time that him and Eno were walking through Central Park, I believe it was, and they got jumped by a bunch of guys?
No.
I have not.
So the only thing that Eno really remembers from it, as he recounted this, was David Byrne getting dragged away by two guys and just him saying, "Uh-oh," like it was just a cartoon.
That's that is probably fake, but I just want it to be real.
I think it is real.
I mean, that's at least a story that's being told. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Eno, if it is, Eno made it up.
Yeah.
The first time I encountered David Byrne was very late. I encountered him in a movie called This Must Be the Place, with Sean Penn as a faded, aged rock star, kind of like a Bono type. And he's friends with David Byrne.
Yeah.
The story's about the Sean Penn hunting Nazis, but he meets up with David Byrne for a minute.
Yeah.
It's like that guy just has a presence, and he's just like cool to watch. So I'm glad to like slowly delve backwards in time into like True Stories and this, and just kind of understand him more and Talking Heads more. Because like as a kid, the only song I understood was Talking Heads song was Once in a Lifetime.
Yeah.
Because that's like the song that's like the weird one that you hear on the radio.
Yeah.
That and like that Rockwell song, Somebody's Watching Me, they have that similar like singing, spoken verse stuff.
Yeah, I get you.
Good film.
Really, really good film. We're legally obligated to mention the lamp dance.
That was surprising to me.
That is like one of the most iconic parts of the movie.
I've never heard of it before.
God damn, dude. I know you hadn't heard of the big suit before, but like
no, I've
shit.
heard of the big suit. The big suit was like iconic. That's a cultural touchstone.
Yeah. Well, when I revealed that I was doing Talking Heads last year, the first time I said big suit and you completely blanked.
To be fair, I had never really listened to much Talking Heads.
Fair enough.
But the interesting thing to talk about here, though, is that this was a huge pioneer in like digital sound recording.
Oh yeah.
Like
this and Yes album, I believe.
Yes, this is all digitally recorded with like a lot of different mics to have a really clear sound.
Yeah. In some parts of it, Byrne is playing a MIDI guitar.
Really?
So like so it's like a MIDI controller that is pickup is built into the guitar and it senses what you're playing.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Also need to talk about the one time they throw it over to Tom Tom Club.
Yep.
Which is just Chris France and Tina Weymouth, who are married, and that's their side project. And it's a great moment for him to go change into the big suit.
It is.
And like knowing how, strained the relationships were in the Talking Heads, I imagine that was the only reason why he let it happen.
Yeah.
It was because he had to do something to leave the stage.
Yeah, that does sound about right.
But hey, they do explore the possibilities of like, okay, well, what if we introduce them all, one member at a time, and what if David Byrne's just not there for a song? What happens?
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
I would like
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Mine's a different point entirely.
I was going to say, I would not be surprised if that was the most famous Tom Tom Club song, even though their first album did go platinum.
Yeah. Shit, what was my point now? One sec. I'm racking my brain. I'm sure you can hear the gears turning.
I mean, it's the thing, too, that's interesting to talk about how Talking Heads was hugely inspired by, like, African polyrhythms and basically trying to do stuff that was not traditional Western rock music in a rock setting. And that, that contrasts very interestingly with the blackface incident, but that's,
It does.
It's like,
I'd like to give mention to the extra band members they had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on the keyboards, you had the Wizard of Woo.
Okay.
And you had the guitar player for the Brothers Johnson.
Okay.
And Brothers Johnson is like one of the biggest names in funk. Like Strawberry Letter 23. Ooh, man. And like having a piece of that attached to the project is really interesting.
I think it's really cool that they kept finding different people and like expanding the group out, especially for like a tour like that, to really make it as full throated as those songs could be. Because I know
absolutely,
because it's like that's basically an acoustic cut of Psycho Killer.
It is.
So it's like if you want to wow people, they can't all be like that.
Yeah.
By the time we get to like especially Burning Down the House, where there's like multiple synths, there's multiple like drum setups, it's really impressive.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Well, good film. Shall we move on? Should we move on before we continue? We bad with words today. That's not good when I'm in a podcast. Should we move on before we get stuck?
Yeah, let's move on before we get stuck.
We might as well talk about Remain in Light then.
All day. Yeah.
I'm happy to move. Yeah, I'm happy to move on straight to Remain in Light.
Because listening, this is the first time I think we've done like an album and also its live recording basically in the same episode. Like we're double punched with Once of a Lifetime.
Well, Once in a Lifetime, the Stop Making Sense was the tour for Speaking in Tongues.
Yeah, because
yes, I know that.
Stop Making Sense is a line off Girlfriend is Better, isn't it?
Yes.
If I got my song right.
But this is also where you go for a live version of Once in a Lifetime.
Yeah, you are right. It's the Talking Heads live performance.
Yes. I really like, sorry to mention it again, I actually like the concert version of Once in a Lifetime better than the album version.
It fucks up the rhythm a little bit for me. I think it switches it from like a 7/8 to a 4/4, and that just throws me off my rhythm just a little bit.
Okay.
So, from a music nerd perspective, I prefer the studio recording.
I prefer
like,
the studio version as well.
I can also really super appreciate the live recording, though.
Fair enough. I just thought the arrangement of that was a really interesting way of doing that versus like, because it's not the backing track that's in the album at all, really. It kind of is, but it's not.
No,
but,
if neither of you have seen the video I just posted in our Discord as well, it's a great little reference that this album had in Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
I'll be sure to
I
watch
found
that.
a Talking Heads reference in fucking, what was it? The fucking Mike Myers Cat in the Hat.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So to put on what any introduction to this album needs to be, this is practically your parents' favorite album.
Yeah.
Depends on how old your parents are. Yes.
Produced by Brian Eno.
Yep. Well, most weren't all Talking Heads albums produced by Brian Eno.
Up until this was the last one.
Yes.
Oh, I thought the first one, the future ones were.
No,
the stories that they had to convince him to come back for this one.
Yeah, Speaking in Tongues was not produced by Brian Eno.
That's my bad. That's my memory being terrible.
But like I was talking about before, this is where they really get into like polyrhythms and recording in like, I think it was Jamaica they were recording in at one point.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, they were recording in Nassau, in Bahamas, actually. Yes, Bahamas. But they were going deep into like different styles and really African influence stuff. And I think they were talking about like, I think it's not, but you can see how a David Byrne would interpret Once in a Lifetime as like early hip hop.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
My way of just kind of putting out just like this album's kind of legacy and everything, because one of the big things to remember about the 80s, it's the absolute time period for new wave.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yes,
when you talk about a lot of albums and stuff like that, and specifically genre spawning albums or anything like that, they don't always hold up as well because everyone else has tried to sound like them, and then some of them have done better. But with Remain in Light, it's practically inspired all of new wave and still sounds better than all of new wave, and that's not to disrespect new wave.
No,
it's better than Dead Man's Party, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
And I had to deal with my brother when he in the last like 3 years went on a massive new wave kick. Still kind of is on there, and that's one of the reasons we're watching Stop Making Sense, because he got completely into all of this and got all the Talking Heads albums, got all the Oingo Boingo stuff, got every other Talking Heads. Surprisingly, didn't get any of that Romeo Void stuff.
Okay.
He could have
Any Devo?
into that. Sorry, what did you say?
Devo?
Yep, Devo.
Good.
But no Romeo Void. That's a shame.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that was cool I was looking into is that there is a Beninese singer called Angelique Kidjo who did a complete cover of this album.
Wow.
And so, like, as an African like singer, kind of like, the influence kind of comes back. You know what I mean? And that's like a really cool, like, reflective moment that we should probably explore in some time.
Definitely.
But like, all 8 of these tracks are great.
Yeah, nice. Apparently, there's no looping in this album as well.
Yeah.
I just read that.
That's wild.
It's all live instrumentation the whole time. That's
it's ridiculous.
Especially in a song like Once in a Lifetime, where you would think it had to be looped.
Yes.
Yep, no looping. That's just I don't know how you could just sit there for like 6 minutes or something and just go like do. I guess.
That's bassists, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get into a groove of it.
But usually with recordings and stuff like that, if you can get a loop in there, make it easier. Nope. I was
Yeah.
I was hoping when we picked up Awake But Still in Bed, we'd have one of the most natural instrumentations we could have, but nah, Remain in Light's even more natural than that. And
Yeah,
it's,
like the 80s, I can see why people are like fans of the 80s because it had really unique bands like Talking Heads and the Smiths really doing stuff that stood out really easily. But it was only unique to that era because they broke up, before the 80s ended.
Yeah.
But it's like, this to put this in context of like what was coming out around 1980, right? It's like, what have we listened to around this time? 2112, that was a few years before. Permanent Waves is coming out. British Steel was coming out. It's all very 70s,
Fragile?
Was it?
I think Fragile was like 77, right? Yes is Fragile.
Oh, probably, I think so.
Yeah.
But like, it's only 1980. This was like conceptualized and recorded at least partially in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so it's wild to me that it sounds so futuristic comparatively to most other music that was around then. I can understand how you come up with like new wave and a whole genre and like really take off like that, because like their ascension was so quick.
Oh yeah, but oh fuck, there is just a lot with this album.
Like what?
I want to talk about Born Under Punches for a second.
Sure,
go ahead.
And just how ridiculous the instrumentation on that, and how the rhythm is so fucking organic, and it like shifts into your fucking tempo and your time signature. Just how fluid it sounds. It is.
You can get a bit of like how kind of like messy it is. It's like a organized mess is the best way to describe it. The instrumentation in just the first 20 seconds, where it's mostly just a kind of guitar starting off, but then it's got a very kind of layered production to it.
Oh yeah,
it's very layered.
Yeah, and it lets you know that it's fucking layered.
Yeah,
that's again where we're getting into like the polyrhythm stuff. That's kind of been one of our themes this year ever since doing Beefheart, right? Kind of coming back to this topic every so often, and
a government man. Sorry. I'm just thinking about how good the song is.
Trix got into a Beefheart or Talking Heads moment. I can't remember which one.
Talking Heads.
Yeah, I could barely hear how much.
Born Under Punches.
You saying it kind of in a Beefheart way.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I am half a bottle of wine in, so.
And my memory of music is only so good, so I can't remember the lyrics particularly to this album outside of Once in a Lifetime.
On Born Under Punches, just all you need to know is take a look at these hands. The government man.
What did he mean by this? What did David Byrne mean?
I think Cross-Eyed and
I'm a government man.
Had some lyrics. I was like, okay, lost my shape, not lost my shit, but I thought there was something. Maybe not. I thought there was something about. I thought there was something about like him pissing himself, but that doesn't seem to be here in the lyrics.
It's not. I don't think it's off of Remain in Light. I'm 90% sure it is. Their song "Popsicle" is about a penis.
Okay, but I thought there was something in Cross-Eyed and Painless that vaguely sounded like something like that was happening.
Fair enough.
Oh, excuse me as I completely yawn on our podcast.
Cross-Eyed and Painless, of course, another big early hip-hop moment with the facts are simple, facts are straight riff.
Yes.
And somehow this album does indulge in that stuff, but they make it work enough not to be cringy, which is incredible to think about.
Yeah, you can tell they have respect for it.
Now, I was listening to a version of this album as well, which included the outtakes, which I don't know if you were listening to or not. Now, I listened to some of these outtakes, and you can actually start to tell as well, like, some of the moments that they did in them, they kind of intended to use differently. Went back onto the album. Like, there's this outtake called Right Start, which has the same bass line as Once in a Lifetime.
Okay.
You know that. Do. And yeah. So it seems like some of these songs as well could have actually been completely different to what they ended up turning out to be, as Trix just gets into a full orgasm over the bass line again.
Sorry.
I mean,
stop. Yeah. Go ahead, Dominic.
Oh shit! Now I lost it. Oh, I
Too
think
busy
I think
thinking-
Talking
there we
Heads. Talking Heads. I'm pretty sure Talking Heads is one of those bands that does the music first and then the lyrics second, right?
Yes.
Mm.
So I'm sure that whatever they had in mind for Once in a Lifetime it probably wasn't what they ended up doing with the lyrics first.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because again, that kind of like singing, spoken word stuff was not exactly commonplace mainstream. It's not what you're thinking about usually.
Do you know what he was inspired by for that?
What?
Televangelist preachers.
Yeah, I could see that. I think Stop Making Sense in general gave me a lot of like preachery vibes.
Yeah, and so like the whole off-putting cadence and the funky polyrhythms are like supposed to do that, along with like the visualization of you might find yourself living in a shotgun shack and all the water imagery.
Yeah. How did I get here?
Yeah. This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife.
He wasn't even married until years later.
Yeah.
Well, I'm out of things to say. I'm just
fucking
following
amazing
video.
album.
We're really blowing it, I feel like, but hey, what is this in a way of just not blowing it?
Long listening, short recording.
To be
Sure.
fair, if we're blowing it now, we've still got a shit ton more to go.
Fair enough. We're easing into it.
It's one of those things that Talking Heads is like one of those ones where you want to talk more about it, but also everyone else has already talked about it. So really anything unique we could say right here.
I'm at a disadvantage in that my afternoon was spent watching Stop Making Sense, and so all this is a little out of my head right now.
Fair enough.
I'm just filled with big suit.
Big suit.
Big suit.
And then he takes out the jacket and he still wears the pants.
Which is amazing.
Yes.
There was something I read on Reddit where somebody had gone to a party at David Byrne's house for some like press thing.
Oh, that sounds
and they
so
like
fun.
looked in his closet upstairs and there was just a box labeled big suit.
That's right.
It's probably fake, but I want it to be real.
Yeah.
What else do you do with the big suit? Who are you going to give it to?
Well, you can't hang it up properly.
I mean, you give it to the
should go on
Smithsonian.
display at like a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something.
Give it to the Smithsonian.
Yeah, give it. That belongs in the Smithsonian.
Imagine, in 1,000 years when humanity has died, and aliens come and they have to try and discover what happened on this planet, and the only remnants we have left is a big suit.
David Byrne is the big suited warrior who destroyed the Earth.
Oh God! And then they find true stories.
That
learn all about
is
him.
a short story waiting to be happening.
Again, we need to watch true
watch that
stories.
film.
We need to see a lot of this stuff come to fruition, like with the gospel influences and everything. It's all there. It's such a good movie. John Goodman's in it. He's great.
John Goodman's always great.
It's one of his earliest roles. But we're going back into Stop Making Sense again. Favorites on Remain in Light. It's a really good album. I think Once in a Lifetime is obviously a big standout. Outside of Painless, Born Under Punches, but they're all really good. I really like the Overload. It's like this really menacingly dark track as to end it. Like Listening Wind and Overload are like a really interesting like two-part finale to the album, and that is very ghostly and haunting.
Yeah.
And it's like you kind of get like the midlife crisis Once in a Lifetime on the it's basically starting side 2, and then you kind of just ebb away into kind of like the afterlife. It kind of tells a story. Born Under Punches, birth, all that stuff, midlife crisis, ghostly death stuff. Incredible.
Favorites for me, Born Under Punches, yes, it's in there, Once in a Lifetime, and The Overload. And least favorite, it's hard to get this album a least favorite when it all is pretty good. I don't know, it's like children. You can't hate any of your children, you just love some of them more than the other.
Very accurate. Favorites, Born Under Punches. That's like my absolute favorite off the album. Just, I love it. And I have no least favorites. My least favorite is that the album isn't twice as long.
Well, it can be if you listen to the outtakes.
Nah, that only adds in how many minutes? 17.
Symbolically, though, another half of the album.
Well, maybe actually a bit closer to 19. I don't know.
Oh shit, 2 extra minutes.
Yeah, maybe it's 1.5 times here.
God damn.
Listen to the outtakes twice.
Yes.
Oh yes, I will do that.
All right.
Alright.
So that's
Next album.
Talking Heads. Which track do you want to go on now? Might as well cover the color spectrum.
I can say that to last if you want.
All right.
Oh, we'll choose one of my ones. So you want to go just chronological with this one?
Yeah, let's talk about your fourth wave and the fifth wave study.
Yeah. So we'll start off with Marietta's Summer Death, which I claimed is probably my favorite from the fourth wave. And it kind of still is. I just like this album. It's not one of those completely whiny albums, but still kind of is a little whiny. But I don't know, it's just in the right ways. Love the guitar in this thing. I think despite the overuse of the samples on it as well, I think they're funny and kind of just like allow some kind of like sense of self-awareness to the record. Fun. I like this album.
Indeed.
Can I be honest?
Go ahead.
I hated the beginning of this album.
You had, so what point did you start to like this album?
You got the map backwards, Matt.
You didn't like Cinco de Mayo shit show?
No.
Fuck you.
I thought the group vocals were terrible.
Yeah, I am. I don't like vocals.
Especially compared to like listening to the harmonies and fucking Stop Making Sense. Like the shit going on in here, like the first two songs just did not grab me at all.
I just want to know like what crimes against humanity you just made by comparing an 80s new wave band into a fourth wave emo band.
They're both music. They're both valid.
I feel like it's not just apples and oranges you've compared there. I feel like you've actually created a new fruit and then compared it to both apples and orange.
Comparing durian to a clementine.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's probably the best analogy we can make there.
I just felt like the first two tracks, like it made me, I don't know what Marietta's level of popularity was when this album came out, but it reminded me more of like the local backs that I've seen and have put on the show before.
I mean, I think what I do like about this album is that it actually does sound it sounds like a better produced version of a lot of just local bands just doing their own thing. And looking into the history of Marietta, that seems to be exactly what they were anyway.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, I think they I don't know if they had any like offers or anything to go into any big labels or anything. They put out 2 albums, broke up, and I don't really know what's happened to the members since. But this was just kind of an album made by a bunch of people who just like this type of sound and then just made an album. And I will agree that probably So They Left Me at a Gas Station might not be the best best song of this album here. I will absolutely disagree with Cinco de Mayo Shit Show. That's a great song. It's also a bit of a meme in the Midwest emo fan base.
Really?
Yeah, there's this fucking great fucking video, and it's this party. Like I don't know what they were fucking doing, but it's this party, and there's this guy on a horseback, and they're just doing this fucking dance during it, and someone's edited it to fucking have a Cinco de Mayo shit show playing in it to make it seem like they're dancing on this horse to the fucking.
Okay, that's cool.
So fucking.
That's pretty great.
I will say that Cinco de Mayo did remind me. The one positive, I guess I will say, is that it did remind me of Snagadactyl a little bit.
There is a little bit of dreaminess to some of the instrumentation in it. I can kind of see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how old they were
like,
around this time? Were they like high school, college?
I think they would have been in their 20s or something. We can probably go check this history or something. It's not something I've ever really gone too deep into, just because it's not really ever been an album I felt like I've needed to go into the history about it. I've just enjoyed it, if you get what I mean.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my excuse for not knowing so much of it. Here we go. According to Wikipedia, they're an American emo band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They had a bit of history with modern baseball, and in December 2015 they broke up.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all Wikipedia will tell you.
Although the album was remastered in 2018 by an actual producer that, kind of elevated things a little bit, I think.
Yeah, they definitely, despite having broken up in 2015, they haven't disregarded this band or its existence at all. In 2020, they actually released a couple of demos and then put out a compilation CD and vinyl. The vinyl only had the demos on it because those are the only things that hadn't been released on vinyl. Or I think there was a couple other on it. But the CD was the first ever CD they put out, and I managed to snag it before that got sold out. So that's still one of my favorite owns in my collection.
That's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and that's their full discography, including the split that they did with Modern Baseball.
Yeah, not too much. So I mean, definitely like the Philly scene. You know, that's just what they were in, the Philly scene. Never really expanded beyond there, but they have seemed to have kind of a cult following anyway, which is cool. I dig that.
And it's good. They do have some live shows that you can go on YouTube, which I've gone and seen, and like the people who go to these types of shows usually are the type of people who actually fanboy or fangirl these bands. You know, they know every song.
Yeah, like Grief Eater.
Yeah. But there's a lot of actual energy at these shows as well, as you would be able to see from those clips, which is nice. It's one of those bands where you get like, man, I wish I could have been in that same time period and seen this band, and then you remember, wait, I'm in Australia, they never came here.
I mean, I think songs like Deck Wine, I think, were kind of the highlights for me, that they really seemed to improve the vocals and just made the song sound overall better. Like, the thing I was not a big fan of Cinco de Mayo was that it also just felt very loose instrumentally. Like, I don't know if everything was totally in time.
I'd like the loose. I don't know. It just feels like a band just having fun.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
Also, Deck Wine actually has a demo that was actually released as a part of the demo compilation.
Okay,
and that's one of the. I think that's the only song off this album. I don't know if there was one off as it were that was in the demo, but this is the only one that got a demo of it released later. That's just a little interesting pointless fact for your all. I do think also, just in terms of the consistency part, I do agree the second half is a lot better.
Yes.
But I mean, God bless Eric Taylor and into Ever Is a Long Time, Ever Is No Time at All is fucking, like, those two songs are probably some of the peak of this record.
Yeah, Ever Is a Long Time reminded me of like a third wave song of some sort. Like, Ever Is a Long Time is the kind of track I would imagine on a show like Malcolm in the Middle.
Both of those songs as well have massive use of a movie or TV show sample in it, which when I was kind of talking about when samples being used in that kind of self-awareness, like at the start of God Bless Eric Taylor, it's what's his name? It's in the Shaun of the Dead. Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg. It's like a thing about porn.
Yeah, it's this whole kind of monologue that he's on about and talking about how there's this girl or something that he's in love with that he's waiting to see go into a bar, and it just feels kind of embarrassed being in there, and he's comparing the feeling that he's getting to how do you feel after you've practically just bought a porn and masturbated by yourself and then woken up and gone, what the fuck are you doing? That kind of thing. And then there's just that whole joke of it, and that's love, load of a wank.
Mm-hmm.
It's self-aware to have that kind of like quote in here that's very kind of like, you know how you see a lot of like emo rappers and stuff use BoJack Horseman quotes, and it doesn't. It's just kind of like, oh, feel sorry for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of refreshing still to have a quote like this, which does have some kind of
point
relevancy to the song that's happening into it, but also puts in this self-awareness and fun into it, because it's not supposed to be a fucking woe is me that they're trying to go for it, but it allows that kind of like. I don't like listening to the song without the quote, because it's just the instrumental guitar for 40 seconds with nothing to it. But the quote just kind of actually allows it to just stay in its welcome a bit more.
That's why I wanted to listen to both.
If it win-win.
I think the film. I think the quotes really elevate the album.
And then Ever Is a Long Time at the end has Will Arnett in Hot Rod going there, babe, no, babe, wait, babe. Actually, the best one is surprisingly on here is the fucking Adam Sandler quote, and fuck Dentinary is big. The I don't like myself sometimes, can you help me? Gary, I'm a dentist.
That's from Punch Drunk Love, I believe.
I believe so, yeah.
I need to see that, but that's like Adam Sandler's dramatic role for a long time.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate them using that stuff. Licensing is a bitch, but I'm glad they did it.
It's just a very... when it comes to a lot of emo records, and we talked about Hotelier and stuff like that, which kind of mostly relied on the lyrical contents of that one, or at least I think that was the big draw of the album.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I mean, lyrically, most of this stuff is kind of just personal and just about like Cinco de Mayo shit show is practically about having a breakdown. God bless Eric Taylor. Actually, whilst it has this kind of like whilst it obviously had that quote about like the lovers and stuff like that, also does bring this kind of whole like just enjoying time with friends kind of camping vibe to some of the lyrical content on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing too dramatic or anything, surprisingly, but I also think the lyrics do somewhat get kind of vivid, or at least like you can actually imagine kind of stuff happening to it. And obviously the did you get some matches? I probably burnt them because I can't drive and I need something to pass the time. Is just you can just imagine just at a campfire, just sitting there, just burning matches and throwing them
sure.
like a
Yeah.
But you saying that it's this kind of discussion I feel like we could have at some point about using emo as a genre just for the stylings and not necessarily having the lyrical content be as dramatic as that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna go into like non-dramatical lyrical content, Origami Angel didn't get
that's a really
dramatic
good.
in someone else.
I mean, some of it does. Some of it really gets into like anxiety and stuff. But you're right. A lot of it is pretty, just kind of friends hanging out and just living life kind of stuff.
I could pull out some instrumental Midwest emo at some.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because I think of the comparison I was gonna make was Your Arms Are My Cocoon, and that when you listen to that album, you think that Tyler Odom is just screaming his heart out about something really painful and traumatic, but it's not usually. Like it's saying you're beautiful, you're compared to the autumn breeze kind of stuff.
Yes, in October of 2019, I called a suicide hotline.
Yes, I know that is the title. Yes.
Yeah.
But if I have to pull out lyrics, let's go for the lyrics.
But just bringing it into short, I mean, I think one thing I have noticed about this record, you can see it in Cinco de Mayo show, you can see it in God Bless Eric Taylor, you can see it in Ever Is a Long Time, you can see it in Deck Wine. They repeat their outro a lot. I don't mind it because I think the outro is fine, and I don't mind it just kind of goes into this whole repeat it, let it fade out kind of thing. I mean, God Bless Eric Taylor, it doesn't fade out. It ends with the kind of guitar. I don't know what the term is, but the fast strumming, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm outside. Sorry.
Well, you do notice they actually like repeat the outro.
Yes. It doesn't bother me as much as Porridge Radio did, but.
So have you got any hot takes for this record?
It's okay. It's not my favorite of this week. It's not my least favorite.
I think Hotelier and La Dispute were better, but I think that should be kind of.
La Dispute is better than this, but I don't consider La Dispute as the fourth way. I consider them in the kind of own post-hardcore space.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I enjoy this a lot more than Hotelier, personally.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
The lyrics to in October 2019 to call a suicide hotline for the first time in my life. Cut through this clockwise fog, I'm finding new substance and detail and waking up, embodied in reflective puddles and impulsive acts of clarity. Why go home? Let go, dissolve into blossom. I am the beauty in the trees. Kind blanket skies tear through my willing flesh and bone to dust. In the wind, in your skin, cloudless and melon-tinged sunsets and locked at the wrists.
And that one does not scream as positive as you're trying to make it out to be honest.
No, but it's not exactly like if we're gonna.
It's not as bad as or higher as her lovers. Cut my wrist and black my.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's stuff that you read it and you're like, oh, That's what's being said. Okay. Or there's Cliff for the big red stab wound, right? Right now I'm playing with the idea of growing up. There are leaves in the basement, each inscribed with a passage, reading back fond memories, crunching under small feet and Austin clouds. And that's it.
Fair enough. Anyway, since we're branching off in here, I'm yours.
Well, the point I wanted to make is that I find it interesting the way that some bands like this use kind of like what is usually associated with like whiny, dramatic, like really traumatic events and songs, and are used for dressing, or used for because they sound cool, or are used to highlight a different point with lyrics that aren't quite like that. I don't know.
It's a fair take.
Yeah.
Like we've now have Origami Angel, Remembers My Cocoon, Marietta kind of all doing that. I mean, Marietta's the one to really look to, is because that's a generation before. It's fourth wave. I wonder how much. I'm curious when that kind of breakup started happening. Was it? Because I'm sure not every emo song, every emo band's gonna be like sad and depressing all the time, but using it more for its aesthetic than for like getting across hard truths. We should do more research on that at some point.
All right. At some point, I can pull out an instrumental emo album, Midwest emo album,
which you've said, and we both agreed to already.
I cut out at that point, so I didn't know how much you had caught.
Gotcha.
Anyway, favorites of this album: Cinco de Mayo, Shit Show, Jack Wine, God Bless Eric Taylor, Ever Was a Long Time, Ever Was No Time at All. I don't kid myself and say that this album is perfect. I do rate it very high personally, though. Least favorite, probably So They Left Me at a Gas Station, or You've Got a Map Backwards, Matt. But I don't hate either of them. I like both of those songs.
That's fair.
It's just they're both in a if I had to choose kind of moment. It's something I struggle, and I'd probably consistently choose either one of those. But yeah,
sounds good.
What about you, Trix?
This album's all kind of mid for me. So my least favorite is They Left Me at a Gas Station.
Yeah, I'll definitely echo They Left Me at a Gas Station. I did not like Cinco de Mayo, Shit Show. I guess if I had to pick one that was a favorite, it probably would be God Bless Eric Taylor, or you got the Matt Backwards, Matt.
All right.
I would say I probably enjoy God Bless Eric Taylor more than Cinco de Mayo Shit Shows.
Okay.
I think if I had to choose an absolute what the best song is, it's God Bless Eric Taylor.
Fair enough. And again, I will reiterate that I think that the listening to the version, the anniversary version, the version that has the film quotes, definitely the way to go.
All right.
Now, going on to the fifth wave, and what I say was my introduction into fifth wave, whether or not there's been stuff around 2018 that genre that I was probably listening to as well. I mean, I was also listening to Chinese football, which is kind of a bit of a transitional band, I'll call it. That was a Chinese band that practically sounded like American football. Pretty good. But the kind of big album that I listened to that got me into what is practically the fifth wave now was this Awake But Still in Bed album. I think I discovered it because Bandcamp posted a bunch of albums and said, hey, listen to these albums. So I'm like, okay. And it's a good album. Awake But Still in Bed, what people call low self-esteem is really just seeing yourself the way that other people see you. Kind of a screamo album, to be honest.
Yes. This is the album that I think we could point to as what is fifth wave emo about? Because we had that discussion recently. Because it is about I don't know much about the person behind it, Shannon Taylor, but it's the DIY aspect. It's the aspect of the vocals not being particularly perfect. It's the kind of the shift into the dynamics of Opener is a great example of she goes through the first verse or two and it's yeah, okay, I get it, and then she finally lets the beat drop and it's holy shit.
Yeah.
I did mention as well earlier when we were talking about Talking Heads about natural instrumentation.
Yes.
And it's probably due to the DIY aesthetic of this, but the instrumentation feels flawed in a good way.
Yeah.
It just it will do these parts where you think maybe they've just missed a note. And then you realize, yeah, they probably missed a note, but they just care. And it doesn't disrupt the song. So
yeah.
like unsaved. It almost feels like with the guitar for a bit that they dropped that pick or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it kind of just works with the vibe. So
is
it intentional? Is it not intentional? I don't know.
Cares?
But yeah.
It's kind of an album where I'm like, does it need an interlude? But the interlude sounds good enough that it doesn't really matter.
The interlude is one of my favorite moments in mentioning it.
I agree.
Yeah.
But it's also, but it's like, it's track 6, and I'm like, oh my god, this much time has passed already? Holy shit.
Did I post my original review that I did of this album in 2018?
I do not remember.
Probably.
I need to now search that up. If not, I will post that up because back when I first listened to this, yeah, I did post it. I'm going to reply to this so both of you can read this as well.
Okay.
When I first listened to this, I had some problems, and I don't know if I fully disagree with myself back with these. I wouldn't give it as low as I did, but I wouldn't higher because I'm first reviewing this album. I gave it a 6 to a 7. Probably moved, and it kind of moved at the end of the year as well because it kind of gave into a bit of the parts that I didn't like of the album. It's more closer to a 7 or an 8 now.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I wasn't so keen on all of the vocals, especially the screams, and there were some times where the screams still don't work. But I actually thought that maybe the screaming just happens on this record because she wasn't so confident in the kind of singing vocals, but I thought the singing vocals are some of the better ones, to be honest.
I know at some point I was doing my research, she mentioned that her family would make fun of her voice because of the way it sounds. And I can see kind of like wanting to prove them wrong a little bit. And I think, the opener, like I feel like the opener is kind of like maybe where it's at its worst, but she definitely redeems herself across the album.
Mm-hmm.
I think the screaming vocals work best on Life and Fathers.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's also kind of going back to the idea of like, it doesn't matter how technically proficient or how amazing her voice is. It's the passion, it's the energy that we look for.
Just want to say, whoever the backing vocalist is in this band as well, I wish had more time in this album as well, because I think there could have been some more harmonies that worked. Like at the end is safe. I still agree with my initial review back in 2018 for this. I thought the backing vocals were better than the main vocals in Safe.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't mean that in a harsh way of the original vocals as well. I think that dude and the backing vocals there's got a fantastic voice. I would have liked to have seen some more harmonies of that.
Worth mentioning that one of the guitarists, Borin, had recently passed.
Yeah.
I hope that was not the person who did the backing vocals as well, to be honest, because that would make everything I just said.
Backup vocals are attributed to Elijah, the drummer.
Okay. Whew.
But yes, unfortunately, yes, one of the members from this record has passed. I don't know if we actually got the details on that passing. It's not really something I've speculated on.
No, it was just mentioned on the Wake But Still in Bed Twitter. Just that the person from the early version of that band is just, I think there might have been a GoFundMe or something like that. I don't exactly remember, but I can look into that for the episode posting.
Yeah.
They're still active. They're still doing stuff. They just released a split with For Your Health a couple months ago.
Yeah, we finally got some more Awake But Still in Bed. Actually, I think end of 2020, around December 2020, we got an EP then. I think that was just some recordings and stuff, and we got a split. So still waiting on them to do the stuff more to follow up. Haven't quite got there yet, but
they're still touring, so they are still doing stuff at least. They're going out there and I'm sure they're probably workshopping new tracks at concerts.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that for sure, but 4 years in, you kind of have to be, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to now randomly ask random questions to both of you because I'm struggling to think of more things to talk about.
Sure.
All right.
Trix, what did you like the least about this album?
Hard to say. I really enjoyed this album. It's probably going to be my number 2, number 3 for the week, depending on how I do the ranking. I guess that it's not quite long. It's not long enough. I could do with a lot more songs from them.
Dominic, what do you think is the most? What do you think? No, a different question.
Okay.
if there was any moment that you think was probably done better in this album, so probably doesn't need to be done again, what would you pick?
Like, if I could go back and have them do it, record it again, make it better.
Well, it's more what part of this album would you think is a bit redundant since it's done in a later part or an earlier part, but better?
I feel like mostly due to the placement of the flow, somewhere around Safe or Stumble, I feel like it starts to drag a little bit. Maybe Stumble, that's the kind of song I remember the least.
Yeah, Stumble kind of feels like a shorter opener and not as good as opener.
I think Stumble is actually my favorite off the album, if I'm going to be honest.
Well, what I really wanted to
just
say
pissed off
was,
Trix.
sorry. What I really want to say is that, like, I like this album. I think it's very solid. My problem is that compared to everything else this week, I'm not going to pretend that, like, everything exactly stood out the way I might have wanted it to. Like, opener, interlude. I remember reading about Floor and that was an old piece of poetry from years ago, so I gravitated to that a little bit. I do like its opener and closer, but I could not fully remember everything from this as much as I'd like to.
Back in 2018, I had Life and Saved as just the constant songs to my rotation.
Mm-hmm.
So those have obviously been the songs that have stuck out to me the most. Songs like Fathers and Safe have their own place in this record as well. And openers actually, it's grown on me. I've grown up to the build up that's happened on that. Originally, the first half of it just kind of bored me a bit, so it's just kind of like, hey, let's skip over a bit and then get to this actual album start. But it's kind of grown on me. I've let it just kind of let it breathe a little bit. So,
Sure.
And in terms of saying that, I think when this album, where its album's flaws come to shine, is that they're only doing so much, but they're doing it for a lot more than what they've actually got. If you get what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Like their ambition was maybe not the highest, but their execution was a lot higher.
Well, no, it's that they kind of ran out of ideas and they've still got more albums to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
A bit, yeah.
Like the interlude is one of my favorite tracks on here still. Actually, it's a really good instrumental. But what's actual need is it on here? It's just padding out an album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's you can probably actually get rid of Stumble and put interlude in that place, and it would probably go into Fathers pretty well. And I reckon Fathers is flowing to Saved. The Stumble could just be like on an EP or something. They could have pushed it out later. This record could have been shorter. It could have been even 7 tracks. Still would have been fun.
Yeah.
Like they when they execute well, they execute well. But not everything is executed well. This record. It's actually, if I probably brought this up as one of the first fifth wave stuff we've done, we probably would have had a very similar transition into this as I did. Completely. Instead, we've kind of moved on from I don't know what the actual first fifth wave we did was. I guess.
Let's look back.
Yeah, I had to look back for a bit on that one, to be honest. Actually,
like Origami, Home is Where, Paranol. Let's see if there's
anything before that. Yeah, Paranol would have been before Home is Where. So. It
was actually one right. It was Paranol, then Home is Where. Literally the next week.
Yeah. That's actually that.
And then anything really before that is the question.
Some people are considering OK Cool into BNM. When did we first do OK Cool?
That was the episode where we did also the Mitchell J EP. That was 3 weeks before. Yeah. It was a few weeks before Paranol.
Yeah, so it's got to be debatable on what you consider OK Cool then.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also Mouse Tui that we did at the beginning of last year that people consider kind of in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bands covered.
But does anything
we've covered
20 count?
A lot of fifth wave.
What else do going on with that as well? Favorites on here: Saved and Life. Least favorite Stumble, and I'm not a big fan of Closer as well.
Favorites for me: Stumble, and this whole album I really just enjoyed. It's gonna go on my rotation.
Floor as well. I'm not too big of a fan of, but I don't mind it as much. comparingly as my original review.
Is Beach Bunny emo?
No, not really.
No.
Okay. Would We Can Run Club be emo? No. It's or alt
Nah,
rock.
no.
We're alt rock. No. Yeah, we'll call it okay, cool, Nasatui into like the parental home is where stuff.
Yeah,
It took us a while to get into Glass Beach.
Yeah.
it did take us a while.
Favorites for me: opener, interlude. Least favorite, stumble.
Trix, I
Which-
think you need to do yours, don't you?
I already did.
Oh, okay. I'm an idiot. My bad.
Which leads us then into the thing that made everything difficult, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The color spectrum.
Yeah, I had every single fucking album except the Stop Making Sense soundtrack on my computer this week. It made it so
Hell
much
yeah.
easier.
Nice. So the color
And
spectrum.
now,
The first time the
and
Deer
now-
Hunter got away from their whole Axe project, which is telling this continuous story through their kind of Baroque pop, alt rock, kind of string kissed style. And they've gone into the color spectrum, which is trying to embody different genres as ways to express different colors, going from black all the way through the rainbow to white. And then they apparently picked what they thought were the best of them and put it on an album version that condenses everything. So I guess really the question I want to start off with this is that, do you think this experiment was successful? Did they actually do what they set out to do?
I just want to put out an even better question. Is the red EP emo?
You broke up a little bit there. Can you repeat?
Is the red EP emo?
The red is considered grunge.
Yeah.
But it has Andy Hull on it. Manchester Orchestra. Manchester Orchestra.
Sure.
Because I've got friends in all the right places and
Is Green EP Christian because it has someone from Falling Up in it?
damn straight. It says country, so is it actually conservative?
So here's what we go with. We get black EPs, industrial and alternative rock. Red is grunge. Orange is blues and hard rock. Yellow is psychedelic and pop rock. Green is folk and country. Blue is soft and experimental rock. Indigo is electronic rock. Violet's baroque pop and alternative rock. And white is alternative rock and progressive rock.
Now, I also want to know if this is going to be the hottest take, and or if we're going to get disagrees or agreements. I've obviously had a bit more time to sit on all this because I picked this album up a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Home is the best song out of all 36.
Home.
Yep.
Really?
I know it's a bit generic, but it just hits well. Yep. That's it. You could go to me and say, but this one has some more complex compositions to it, or look at this one, and I'll go and say like, yeah, you're right, but Home hits better.
See, my
I like other songs on here. I think Home is the best.
That's not what I expected at all. I have other songs I like a lot more.
And then
Me too.
I think it was Trix who mentioned it, and Trapdoor is probably one of the most boring.
Yeah, Blue EP is the worst EP.
Yeah.
Like, not only is Trapdoor a bad pick, I actually mentioned Trapdoor because I don't understand why they put it on the album, because that's the one they picked for the Blue for the album.
Violet is the best EP.
Collapse of the Great Tide Cliffs was a better pick for Blue, but yes, Violet is also really good.
I think when it comes to EP in full, which one I enjoy the most? Actually, the Black EP. The first four.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Never Forgive, Never Forget. You gotta I forgot him screaming out, "You gotta watch me burn" or something. Filth and Squalor, fucking love that one. Take
You mean Firth and Squalor?
And Colin Firth. And I do like the EP as well, actually.
Which one?
Deny It All, the Red EP.
Deny It All is their best Muse song.
Yeah.
It is just a Muse song.
Oh, yeah. I think if they're going for grunge, they haven't really done grunge that well, but as an EP, like, listening,
See, that's the thing.
Enjoy it.
The thing about the Red EP, I like it, but my problem is that instrumentally, they actually do grunge really well. It takes Casey a minute to really get into the groove of it, and even then, his voice is very pretty. It doesn't have the hardness or the grit necessarily to pull off full grunge. And that's also my problem.
I was gonna say, this is if you've noticed it, you'll get it. Denia O's vocals reminded me of Oliver Tree, but that kind of nasally.
A little bit. I can see that. My problem though, like especially with Black EP actually, was that I also didn't think Casey did a really good job expressing like what industrial is like on the Black EP. Like I feel like he was still singing in his normal voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like this color spectrum, when it comes into everything being a different genre and stuff, there are definitely differences by the time that you get to the white EP. You start to notice it. I mean, you start to notice it halfway through, kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes to the actual genres that they claim to be representing, it's not always so accurate.
I mean, sure. I do think by the time you get to Orange does remind me of like an Aerosmith type experiment. Especially But There's Wolves. But There's Wolves, it's like, oh, this is just hard rock. This is a genre I do not fuck with usually.
Yeah.
And I do want to say as well, we were going to compare and ask a question about what songs we would replace off the 11 song kind of track list I have here. Trapdoor would probably be the only one, and I actually think they got a really good selection to condense it down.
Yeah, there's
I have a couple I'd change.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll go. I was just gonna mention that I would change off the Black. I'd change it to This Body.
Okay.
And I think I would keep most of them, except I'd remove Trapdoor and the Canopy, and I would just replace those two with Too Late and Look Away off of Violet.
I think the problem that comes off of that is that both Too Late and Look Away are both Violet. Yeah, that's right. Is that you've now just gotten rid of, well, you've only gotten rid of one color off here, but you've also made one color have three. And the good thing about this condensed part of it as well is that it's supposed to have like a pretty,
it's balanced.
Pretty consistent balance.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I wanted to stay with that and kind of see what I could take away that would make it still equivalent to what it is now. Like everyone else, I would remove Trapdoor. Collapse of the Great Tide Cliffs definitely would go there instead. I would also remove both tracks from White EP because I think White EP's problem is that it's pretty solid, but the only track that stands out to me is Lost But Not All Gone.
Fair enough.
So that's a great closer. I would put that at the end, which leaves then a track to be put in from either Indigo or Violet. Probably like something from Violet. I'll take any of the tracks really.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what Violet was trying to be again. Baroque pop.
Baroque pop. So like the show tunesy kind of stuff we were listening to on Migrant Annex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over there.
So
to be fair though, I just want to quickly say, for a collection of 36 songs, there's not actually anything atrocious on here. There's stuff that's not as good as the others. I mean, there's stuff that's kind of a bit boring.
Yeah.
But that's actually probably my favorite full length that we've done from the Deer Hunter. At least I've listened to it in full from the Deer Hunter.
It's the only.
That's saying something as, oh no, we've done the EP and we've done the album.
Yeah, we've not covered the acts.
Yeah.
So I've actually ranked this project specifically. If y'all want to hear what I have to say,
go ahead.
Go for it.
So I think at the top I would put the album itself because the album itself is very solid, and there's a couple tracks I would replace. But if we're going for like overall quality, I think the album really does pull a lot of the best and makes it somewhat cohesive as an idea for an album. That being said, after that, my favorite EP on this is the Green EP. I think they do a really good job at country folk, especially the folk stuff. Things That Hide Away in the Canopy, especially Things That Hide Away is a beautiful song. It might be my favorite song on this project.
Yeah, I get that.
The Canopy is also just really good. There's like not a lot from the Green EP I would not take. Like Crow and Cackle may be just the one that is a little bit lesser, but even then. After that is Violet. Violet's just fucking great.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where their wheelhouse is, and so maybe that's kind of where they're just most familiar and can do some cool stuff. I like Lilia, Mr. Malum's great. Yeah, all four. After that's Indigo. I really like What Time Taught Us. That's a great track. The other ones are pretty good as well, but What Time Taught Us is a great, like, what I always associate as like a Tom Yorkie type of thing. Really good stuff.
All right.
And then Red's good, but yeah, I have problems with it. White's pretty solid, but not super special to me. Then Black, because Black tries to be industrial, but it does an okay job. I think the song that they use, Filth and Squalor, I go back and forth whether I like that song or not a lot, because the chorus is catchy, but also a little bit tedious. Then Yellow, because Yellow has some good tracks. She's Always Singing is a great track. Suvaz kind of also, but Orange, I don't really do hard rock a lot. I would have chosen a Sea of Solid Earth over But There's Wolves, but that's just me.
I would have probably said that But There's Wolves and Stuck on a Wire on a Fence are the best songs off that EP, and the other two are kind of a bit for me.
And then I just do not like Blue EP.
Yeah, Blue EP's not good.
Yeah, Blue EP least favorite, Violet EP favorite.
But
that's just a theory.
A music theory. But
a color theory.
I guess I just go back to the question of, did they actually do a good job at like representing colors? Because
Did they do a good job at that? Not really.
Like, because how do you assign these genres to colors? What about these genres accentuates those colors?
Maybe one of the band members have synesthesia.
I don't know what that is. You're gonna have to explain that.
Synesthesia is like
you just get like crossed wires, and so like you associate like colors with flavors, or not even that, but like certain sounds with flavors and people with colors and that sort of thing.
Well, there's an actual like science to colors and reaction stuff, and that's usually shown in film and costume design. Like when someone's supposed to be yellow, is actually seen as a very neutral color, which psychedelic pop rock, you kind of see that. I would have gone for probably a bit more, even more basic than that, to be honest, for being yellow, because the whole kind of point is that if it might have to be a bit more of an even more inoffensive stuff than psychedelic rock that could get.
Yeah.
Or like red. Yeah, I guess red is supposed to be seen as a bit more grungy stuff, I guess.
Red is more aggressive though, but grunge is kind of aggressive, but it's not. I don't know. I think industrial is as good as Black, because industrial can be very, very aggressive. Like fucking 9 Inch Nails can be fucking out there. I don't think they quite reach that height though. Is the thing. Red, like, yes, grunge can be red. I always associate grunge more as like a brown or a gray.
I get that.
Orange,
but
I feel like
I think the main issue isn't so much the genres that they've chosen, but more so just how they've actually executed the genres that they've said that they've gone for. I don't think the songs are bad. I just don't think they're the best representation of that genre that they could go for.
No, but it's like some of them they do really well with. I think it's usually when they either take a bigger swing or within their wheelhouse is when they do their best. Like Indigo Indigo, I think it's a great example of like that. That sounds like nothing else on there. Like maybe kind of Black, because Black has some electronic elements, but Indigo goes heavier on the electronic stuff. But then you have like 3 EPs that are all just like alternative rock and something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is an interesting experiment. Not totally successful, but it is a good attempt at what they're trying to do.
Absolutely.
I do think it's a little pretentious.
No, you go. I was just going to say favorites, least favorites.
It's a little pretentious, but they at least did a good enough job that I don't regret doing this.
Fair enough.
Favorite is Home, Filth and Squalor. I do like, actually. Stuck on a Wire, Out on a Fence, But There's Wolves. I like. I do also like. God, sorry, what was I thinking of? Never Forgive, Never Forget. Least favorite, Trapdoor.
Favorite is one song off of Violet. Let me pull up the track list. Least favorite is Trapdoor. Favorite is Look Away.
I'll list a few favorites here. I like Deny It All. I like She's Always Singing. Things That Hide Away is probably my favorite, followed by What Time Taught Us. But I also really like Lillian and Mr. Malum as well. Least favorite is probably something off of Orange or Blue. Trapdoors in there. I liked Tripping in Triplets at first, but then I really listened to it and I'm like, nah, fuck this.
Fair enough.
Good attempt though. I do like that they did this.
All right.
Let's try to rank this shit.
All right.
I'll start off.
Okay.
So least favorite, and that's I'm not going to include Deer Hunter as the 11th album, and I'm not going to include Stop Making Sense.
Okay.
Least favorite is probably going to be The Color Spectrum.
Okay.
Third is
Alright.
going to be Awake But Still in Bed. And then I'm going to go back to it a lot more than the other one. But number 2 is going to be Marietta. And then number 1, it's just a crime to not put it as number 1 because it's one of the most legacy or genre defining albums ever made, is Remain in Light from Talking Heads.
Yeah. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Marietta. Number 3, The Color Spectrum. Number 2, Awake But Still in Bed. And number 1, Remain in Light.
At the bottom, it's gonna be Marietta. Anniversary over original, like whatever. The versions that have film clips are the ones that don't, essentially. After that,
Gotcha.
we're gonna start putting in like blue, orange, yellow, black, white, red, indigo, violet, green. But I'm gonna throw a curveball and say that in between the album itself and the EPs, I'm gonna throw in Awake But Still in Bed.
That's fair.
All right.
Because I think that's a solid album, but I do think when you actually put the songs together, the album is better than the collective EPs in some ways. After that,
All right.
I'm gonna do Stop Making Sense and then Remain in Light.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Now, Dominic, why did you choose The Color Spectrum?
Now,
Yes.
we're finally gonna get a chance to do one of the album or the episode ideas that I wanted to do for a very long time that we conceptualized way back in 2020. We put this on the docket a number of times, but we're finally going to do our whole episode of White Albums. What this means is that it has to be an album that is referred to as the White Album, either officially or is just commonly known as the White Album or something of that nature.
All right.
Trix, you wanted to go last, didn't you?
I do.
Cool. I'll happily go first.
Yes.
I have picked a classic for this podcast. Goes back to the first ever episode, and obviously we have covered since then, but not distract you. We are going back to Tism. This is Serious Mum. We're doing the White Album. And I'm adding on to that, you have to watch all the DVD extras to this album as well.
All
Oh
right.
God, I have to order the DVD. I'll try to see if I can find
I should be able to help you out.
it. Okay.
Sweet.
All right, I'm gonna go basic this time because I feel like I've gone crazy a little bit these last few weeks. I'm just gonna do. So the reason this is called the White Album is because Fleetwood Mac put out 2 albums called Fleetwood Mac, and the one that's called the White Album is the one that has Rhiannon on it, the one that introduces Stevie Nicks into the bunch.
All right.
So it's their 1975 album, Fleetwood Mac, otherwise known as the White Album.
All right. And last, I am going to be doing the White Album by one Beatrix the Strange, and that is my own EP that I was gonna put out today, but then my laptop charger died. So I'm going to re-record the entire thing on my phone tomorrow and send you the files.
Oh God.
Oh, okay.
So what happens when I didn't even make you? Dominic made you do the fucking Death Saving Fun shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
I thought this would be a fun curveball, and yeah,
So what is your artist name for this?
Beatrix the Strange, I'm pretty sure is what I'm gonna go by.
How do you spell it?
Like Beatrix, BEA Trix, the Strange.
Oh, The Strange. Okay.
Yes,
Are you gonna do TRIX or TRICKS?
TRIX.
All right. And you're calling it the White Album.
I am, and it's
I'm
gonna be.
gonna create an album in 5 seconds called the White Album. Fuck.
Hey, I've been working on this for 2 weeks. 3 weeks.
Yeah, and I'll work on one in fucking 5 hours, Scott.
So once again, we are in a situation in which the third album has not been released yet.
Yeah, and blame Microsoft. My charger died. Like it literally doesn't work.
Can't you just get another charger?
I can, but in the meantime, I'm just gonna re-record the entire thing because I have to special order the charger.
Your arms are my trick.
Okay.
That really made Dominic laugh, that one.
Yeah, I have been planning this since the White Album was like this episode was announced that we're gonna be doing it.
Wait, 2 years ago?
No, this year that we were gonna be doing it next week.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've wanted to do this for a very long time, so I'm glad we're finally getting to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when are we doing that no English episode, Dominic?
I actually have that penciled in about a month from now, so either late September or early October.
Hell yeah.
But we can talk more about that later.
Until then, I have been Ritz, you can catch me on my website, ritz.github.io. I also have a YouTube channel that's linked in the description below.
I have been Trix. You can catch me on Twitter at procrastinaut_. It's like procrastinating astronaut, and then an underscore at the end of it. We also have the Twitter account, the YouTube account, the website, dissonantwaves.space, and also buy our merch.
Yes, we do have merch now on Redbubble. Please check it out. The link
Buy
will be in the description.
my CD, the rent payments next week.
And I'm Dominic. You can catch me online on Twitter at DACICHOCKI. I'm on YouTube. My short film Beat is on there. You can watch it if you wish. Link is in the description as always. I'm on the Games My Mom Found podcast here and there. We just had an episode released about a Game Boy Color game called Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors. It's a really weird game. Listen to it if you want. To reiterate, because we didn't do that. To reiterate, what we're listening to next week for this White Album special. Tism's The White Album, with some DVD extras. Fleetwood Mac's second self-titled, otherwise known as The White Album. And a forthcoming White Album from Beatrix the Strange.
Yes. You'll have the files tomorrow, I promise.
In the meantime, catch us all at dissonantwaves.space, Dissonant Waves on YouTube, and at Dissonant Waves on Twitter. Our merch is on Redbubble now. We can finally add more to the actual links for the show itself. Huzzah.
Hell yeah.
All right, everybody. Happy listening next week, and have a good one.
You too, Domino.